Today, we explore an exciting theme. Get rid of anxiety in life and relationships in one place. The Power of Your Voice with Mike Murphy.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Power of Your Voice podcast. And I'm your host, Mike Murphy. And once again, super grateful that you're here. Super excited that you guys love the show. You know the drill. If you like it, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and we'll just keep giving you the best content we can. Let me ask you a question. How would you feel if you always felt comfortable in your own skin with no anxiety? Or what if you had that same feeling in the bedroom and could be totally open and vulnerable with your partner, almost like a pleasure detective? Well, our next guest today is going to share all that valuable information with us in just a minute. Her name is Juliette Kamaran, and she's a certified mind and body coach, expert on relationships, sensuality, healing, trauma, and body shame. She specializes in the reinvention of the most intimate relationships in life, the one you have with yourself. With courses, coaching, VIP experiences, and retreats, Juliette has guided and mentored thousands of women over the past decade and a half. Rewrite the relationship with their self. Confidence in their bodies, mind, and spirit using her unique rapid release, rewire, and restore method. And just like me, she has 4 wonderful children, all adult and out of the home, hopefully, and she's free. Juliette, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. You got 4 kids too. Isn't it fun? There's so many people out there with 4 kids. We've got like this real connection.
Exactly.
Parents of 4.
Exactly. And let me tell you what's even better. The grandkids. Because I have 7 of those and 1 on the way. And my next incarnation, I'm going straight to grandparent. because there's no work and all fun, you know. And they're so adorable, until they grow up.
Yeah, now I'm a grandmother in the waiting. None of my kids are quite there yet.
Yeah. And you're coming to us today from the United Kingdom, I understand.
Yes, I'm Dutch, but I've lived in the UK for, let me see, which child? Yeah, 23 years.
Oh, wow. So you're Dutch by heritage birth.
I'm Dutch, yeah.
Awesome. Let me ask you this. As a mom, when you look at the world today, what excites you and what concerns you?
What excites me is that people, or that young kids, that everyone actually can really tap into their potential now. It's not so much we have to go to a 9-to-5 job. It's like everyone wanted to be a banker at one point. To get money, you had to be a banker. You had to do this and that. And now everyone's like, oh no, the world is really my oyster, and they can just do stuff. 2 of my kids are very dyslexic, so I've taught in that spectrum a lot.
Gotcha.
Autism stuff. And then what's the thing that I'm most afraid of? I think it's they haven't quite learned communication skills because of the devices that people are on, and especially youngsters. Yeah. They haven't quite understood cues, like body cues. And it's like teaching someone new skills again. Yes. It's like, hey, when someone is crossing their arms or putting stuff away, that means it's cues like, hey, wrap it up. Yeah. And they don't get it because they're involved in their phone.
That's a great observation because, like I mentioned, I have these grandkids and I see it, and I see the struggles of their parents. And I'm here in South America building a business, right? And I see even in the young adults here, and even in myself, to be honest with you, I'm not pointing fingers because 3 are coming back at me because I spend way too much time on my iPad. And now I find it I used to read 3 or 4 books a week. Now I find it difficult to just sit still and read a book. The mind is all over the place. And that's concerning to me, frankly. And I think we need to, and I think you touch on this in your teaching, but we need to get back into our heart. And when we're raising a child, it's a community, it's a tribe. We got to get back to that, in my opinion. What do you think?
Completely. And kind of like the Buddha said, like the next Buddha will be a Sangha, right? Will be a community where we actually go back to communities. If we think about, we used to live in tents, like the women in red tents would commune together, would like massage each other, would learn about their bodies from each other, about, traditions would be passed on. I mean, I was married to a Lebanese Palestinian woman, would be in the kitchen rolling vine leaves and hollowing out, courgettes and zucchinis, I think you call it in the States, and all these kind of things. But you'd actually learn a lot. You'd you get the codes from other people. You get the voice codes. You actually start understanding it in your body what they're talking about, and it's not so mental anymore. But this is sometimes it's like, okay, let's just put everything away.
And
I love turning off my phone and turning not being available.
Amen. I'm really working on that right now. And let me tell you, so we're building this amazing transformational health retreat here in Medellin, Colombia, in 7,000 feet in the Andes Mountains. And every time I go up to the property, I envision teepees and a bunch of women teaching these children, teaching about sex. I mean, heck, I don't know how old I was, 10, 11, 12. And the next thing I know, I got an erection. And it feels, but no one's ever told me what the hell is going on here. So now I got to deal with all that stuff. And then the neighbor kid shows me a Playboy magazine, which made boom. And this is a big subject for me, because I'll be honest with you. I probably did a better job than my parents, but I didn't do a very good job. And so I really think, especially today with the internet and all this stuff out there, right? If these kids get to expose that to, I hate to think, right? And sexuality is a big problem, and for everybody, look at it. I mean, that's all we talk about nowadays. So what do you think? What's the age to start teaching a young girl and a young guy? How do you do it? And all that kind of stuff.
You start teaching from really early. It was funny, I was talking to a journalist a few years ago, here in the UK, and they did this big 2-page spread on how to talk about sexuality, because we're not taught.
No.
Yeah, it's like, the bees and the birds, and it's like, listen, I was married to a Muslim. My kids are half Muslim, half Christian, so they kind of they've grown up with everything.
Yeah.
But I'm Dutch, so we're very open about stuff. So at the age of probably 6 or 7, I started talking to the girls a little bit, and my boys used to all run around naked. Yeah, we're in Europe. People will run around naked on the beaches a bit longer than probably in the States. And I remember my son used to Mommy, willy massage. I'm like, darling, probably don't want to do that when you go do that when you get to nursery, And he'd take off his clothes, and that's how he was comfortable. So I kind of then had to say, hey, it's natural and it's normal. And when you go to school, people are not going to want to. So start normalizing.
Yes.
That, have normal names for it.
Yes.
I remember when I moved here from Switzerland with 2 of my kids, and I talked to my husband's cousin, and I'm like, so what do you call vagina? And she's like, we call it, she has 3 daughters, we call it front bottom. I'm like, front bottom? What do you mean? So, so there's already shame in not naming it properly.
Yeah.
Like, girls don't want to say that they're on their period,
right.
So they're on Bambi or on there and something else. It's like, you're taking away language. No, you're taking away normalizing language about our body parts.
Yeah.
And just being natural about it. So it's all hush hush.
Yeah.
Then what you see on YouPorn or whatever.
Yeah.
Porn site, it is actors acting.
Exactly.
So this is where, for me, when the boys were about 8 or 9 and they had older friends with older brothers, in the Playboy magazines, and then the stuff came out, and I was like, okay, so I want you to remember that these are all actors. It's a big business. Okay, so when you're going to be with someone, remember that person has parents and has brothers and sisters. So how you treat
there you go.
them is going to come around. So how would you like your sisters to be treated? And they're like, so they've always been super respectful.
Great way to put it. That's such a great way to put it, to relate it to their sisters.
Completely relate it to yourself. How would you like it if someone talks about your sister?
Right.
If you are you going to go and brag that you slept with someone,
right.
or that you did this or that? So, and plus, what is it? Why would you have to do that? So both of them are like, no, we're, this is personal. This is private to us.
Yes.
And we don't need to brag about it. But then when I went straight into sexual conscious sexuality, I ran I was a director of a program here in the UK, and I used to walk around with this t-shirt that says "The Pussy Knows," and the boys were like, "Mommy, what the fuck? Really? We're 13, 14, 15, and all the friends and then come around, they're like, what is this mother of yours? This yummy mommy walking around with the pussy nose." So yeah, I kind of like took it a little bit to extremes, but
But still, it brought up conversation, right? I mean, we were talking about a taboo subject, so it accomplished something.
and that's it. And that's even the word pussy brings up a lot for people. They're like, whoa, that's really denigrating. I'm like, well, what do you call it? Do you call it vagina? What do you call it?
And you UK people use even a stronger word, that if a male says that to a woman, here, we are in big trouble. So I learned that early on. I mean, you guys throw it around like it's, but I do like the willy. That's better than talking about your dick, I like it.
Right?
And I think talking about shagging is better than fucking. So I mean, I think we need a universal sexual course that we can all embrace, and because I'm going to assume it's because of the lack of education. I'm assuming it's because of some maybe even innate shame. But when we all find out when mom and dad did to really have us and we weren't delivered by a stork, we all freak out. Like, it's gross. and why is that, and how do we overcome that?
Isn't it funny, right? It's like, oh, mom and dad, go get a room. I'm like, well, we are in our bedroom. You guys are just trying to come into our bedroom. What the hell? And so the person's like, ooh.
Yeah.
But also I think it's how have you been brought up, right? Mm-hmm. What has your education been around?
Right.
Intimacy. And intimacy doesn't have to be sex. It could just be holding hands.
Yes.
It could be kissing someone.
Yes.
It could be showing affection to someone. It's like, what have you been taught about that?
Yeah.
Then layer on top of that different religions, different cultures, what society thinks of you. And that's like a whole hornet's nest of all kinds of stuff. Then it's like, oh my God, I better just not talk about anything or have any feelings inside of me. No emotions, no body sensations, because it's just whatever I do is wrong.
Right. Okay, let's talk about the grown-ups, because they're probably more screwed up than the kids, and that's who you work with, right? You work with in these couples in their intimate sexual life, and so I know in my case, my late wife who passed, she'd always say to me, Mike, you need to learn to become more vulnerable. I'm going, what are you talking about? What the hell is vulnerable? I didn't really know what she meant until she died, and then I became super vulnerable, right? And it was a crash course in vulnerability. But in the bedroom, because we all have fantasies, we all might have little blah blah, fetishes or whatever, minor, mild, or whatever. And why people have trouble communicating that too, or there's some shame associated with it. What advice would you give to couples that are asking about that stuff?
I would say oftentimes it is communication, right? We can boil it down to not even being able to ask for what we want, because we don't know ourselves.
Right.
We know what we don't want.
Yeah.
And then we'll compare. It's like, oh, but only if you were like that. You always do that, or you never do that.
Right.
So those are like the two killers of any relationship, right? You always or never. So like, just scrap those from your vocabulary, and then start being curious. It's like, what? So I teach people. It's like, take a little duster, and start rubbing that on top of your arm. From your wrist all the way up to the elbow, really softly. Do you like that? Like, how pleasurable is that? It's like, and really start bringing in that curiosity, because we have different ways into pleasure.
Yes.
Just a bit like the 5 love languages.
Yes.
And for me, I think the 5 love languages, you receive love in a different way than you give often. So there's a quite a big distinction there. But also there's the 5 ways into pleasure. And once we start finding out that blueprint of each other, it's like, oh, I didn't realize you've been giving me pleasure in a way that actually doesn't really resonate with me.
Yeah.
And for years, I've been thinking that this was the only way. Yeah. People that have maybe a bit of kink, they like maybe being their hair pulled, or they like just, like being submissive or dominant.
Right. That
is very shameful, because it's like, oh my God, no one talks about this. You have the sexual people that really think about, sex acts, it's we're talking about vaginas, penises, everything, and it's really about orgasm. And then you have people that are very energetic, that feel the energy when they come into a room, and then they can have like body orgasms just by looking at someone. It's like, an orgasm doesn't need to be that climax, that moment where everything and then you crash down, but it's the climax. Orgasm is actually that like whole beautiful chi, that life force
Right.
that goes on and up and down, and that can be just by dancing, it can be by eating a fig or a peach, but really recognizing that this is life force.
So it's almost like setting an environment that where you have the time, you have whatever you want with you, and we're going to explore this. We're going to spend 2 hours instead of wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Okay, we're going to spend at least an hour, and we're going to, hey, maybe we'll play around with ice, and maybe we'll play around with that, but why is it that, guys, because man, the longer people are married, most people, I think it gets worse and worse because they don't communicate, and all these resentments build up, and pretty soon they're not having sex for years. I mean, it blows my mind, right? And so, but what is it in us that says, hey, I'd really like to blindfold my wife and spank her, but I'm afraid of the I must be afraid of the reaction, or I'm afraid of what she'll think of me, right? So how do people work with that?
Well, I would say, you've knocked 2 things on the head before. So I have all my couples that don't have sex. Right. Take sex off the table because for 23 years I haven't had sex. Right. I'm like, okay, so we're now consciously for 4 to 5 weeks, we're taking it off the table completely. Yeah. And they're like, but we're here to help us have it. I'm like, yes. And we're going to change your whole behavior. So you are going to plan in a date morning, not a date night because you'll be tired. Not a date lunch, and not the places that you normally go to. You take away your phone, don't talk about the kids, don't talk about work. Talk about your feelings. Yeah. Write down a list of 10 things that you used to love about each other. Share them. Wow. And then say, have some communication skill. This is what I love about you. Yeah. And go 5 times up and down and say thank you. Because all we want to do is actually be heard, seen, and understood. And then you can go into, well, this is what I have fear about. This is what I'm afraid of in our relationship. And this is something I would desire. And then it's not a conversation. It's just a communication. So the receiving person just says thank you when they've understood. Yeah. So that's where you can then say, hey, a desire that I have is to be flogged or to be spanked. Yeah. And it's safe, and it's safe. It's safe because I don't think 2 couples could ever sit down and have this conversation like that, right? But so they need someone skilled, right? And they need someone skilled, a facilitator that's skilled to bring this intimacy back into. So 24 years without intimacy, we're gonna watch a YouTube video and bring it back. No, so you're taking a long-term approach, and we got a lot of work to do here. And so how is that? When you're working with those people, what kind of success rate? How many guys say, hey, screw this, I ain't never coming back? What is that like? It's a fair question. I mean, and oftentimes it is the woman that say, hey, I've had enough of this. Right. And
well, the guy's probably getting his needs met either in the shower with someone else. So,
Yeah. But oftentimes it's the woman that want more intimacy.
Yes, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Not always sexual intimacy, but more understanding what's going on in their lives. Yeah. They want to connect again. They want to see what are the desires that we have for our lifetime. What are the things that we want to create together? And once you start playing around with that a little bit and really start connecting like that, that's where you can start saying, well, how would you like to be touched? Yeah. And it's people go on honeymoons again that were on the brink of divorce. So I think I've had one couple that actually after coaching with me that decided that no, this is a beautiful way to end it. So I helped them uncouple in the most beautiful way because I've divorced my husband, but we're still the best of friends. We still go on holiday together with our own partners. So it kind of works. And if you can bring this to other people as well, just say you've loved each other for years, but you're not good married, so that's fine. But pretty much everyone has gone on a second honeymoon or has reignited. I'm not saying that they're constantly at it, but they've definitely improved that sexual side and that whole intimate side where they're like, oh my God, we're talking again. We're not just sitting watching Netflix. And that we're leaving a legacy. All of a sudden, they've set up a charity in the Arab world. Just really cool stuff like that.
And that must be amazingly fulfilling for you to witness that, be a part of that, and then see that end result. What's that feel like for you?
For me, it's like, man, I did this for free, right? And which is what I do some of the time anyway, right? But that's the whole thing, and it's so often there has been some kind of trauma involved, and people don't know about that.
Yeah.
And then when that comes to light, there's so much acceptance and there's so much curiosity. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. So this is what's been simmering under the surface for years, and that's why it feels like we haven't connected.
Yeah.
And also when shame lifts, and when they can actually connect again, then it's like, wow, okay, this is the man that I married, or this is the woman that I married, but yet in a completely different way. We've grown a lot together, but these are the beautiful new ways that we can grow.
Awesome.
And I've helped people open up their marriages as well.
Oh, really?
In a conscious way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is beautiful as well.
Because that kind of solves the problem in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, they do things with other people and together, and then it just kind of, it needs a lot of communication.
For sure.
It's not faint-hearted.
So how about this? You mentioned trauma, and there's a lot of stuff in the news and in the world. I don't know if you've ever heard this book I read a long time ago called The Transformation of America. It was a human trafficking victim, child abuse, all that thing. Anyways, long story. But there's a lot of talk of human trafficking, which has to be trauma to, the 9th degree. And so when working, and I would imagine most sexual trauma is from women, the majority. I'm sure it goes both ways. And then, of course, we have the transgender issue, which there's probably a lot of trauma. It's very, very hard to unravel that trauma and get to a happy place, right? So much going on there. So how do you deal with people with trauma? What's some of your techniques?
I've had a lot of trauma myself, and for over 20 years I kind of buried it and didn't realize until I got flogged between the shoulders, and like all of a sudden I felt my body opening. I'm like, oh, can you I asked the Dom and the two people holding the workshop, I'm like, I need to be much harder right here, because I could feel my body opening, and I just got to this ecstatic state.
Wow.
Everything came flooding back, and I was like, ooh, okay. And I realized, without being taught this, but that I needed to duplicate the experience, but give it a different ending. So I went back to the UK, found a Dom, found 5 guys, because I got date raped when I was 18 by 5 guys, and we reenacted it, but gave it a different ending. So then my mind, because we always remember the last memory of it, didn't get stuck anymore. So it's an experience that happened to me, but it doesn't define
no
me.
power anymore. The emotional charge is gone.
Emotional charge is completely gone.
Yeah.
So this then had me look into how can we duplicate charge without actually having to reenact that thing again. But so any experience is made out of an image, a thought, a body sensation, and an emotion. And once we can duplicate that, and by duplicating I mean actually really feeling it. So thinking that thought, seeing that image as vividly as you can in your mind's eye, experiencing that emotion and experiencing that body sensation. We go through it, we get to another level, more stuff comes up, more content comes up, we go again to those 4 elements, move through it again, and then all of a sudden you get to the space of oneness, of no mind, of nothing, of, we've heard everyone talk about it, everyone speaks of it in a different way, and that's where you can really do the healing.
Yeah. Well, I'm not an expert in this, but I'm pretty sure you just described Neuro-Linguistic Programming, NLP. Rewiring.
Pretty much as well. Along with a lot of different things.
Exactly. Rewiring the neural pathways and kind of changing the pattern and the association with it. And for you guys out there, that's a great technique to get rid of any trauma. So in my case, I don't have sexual trauma. What I have is childhood shame and humiliation and some physical abuse, like fighting abuse, and so talk to me about that, because I'm sure sexual trauma, but as a male, I think we don't experience nearly as much as women, but I think we are exposed to a lot of shame and humiliation, because we're taught not to feel. So we live in the head where all the fear is, and we never go to our heart where love is. And so give us a little advice on how for guys like me that had this childhood humiliation, which is really bad, and shame.
Completely. And it's interesting where you said that, that men might not have sexual trauma, but for me, trauma is anything that happened too soon, too fast for the psyche or the body to actually process.
Okay.
So that means someone has looked at you and maybe looked at your belly like, yeah, that could be like, whoa, you're holding on to some emotional charge there that someone looked at you that way.
Right.
It could be someone cat whistled at you. So it doesn't have to be getting raped, getting abused.
Right.
So any of that could be trauma. The way that, you said you have shame. We all have shame? Don't we all have like this, like, we're not good enough, we're not lovable. Right. And that is really where, if you bring it all the way down to the emotions that we have, it's like, how can we move through that? If you look at Byron Katie, like doing the work, it's like, is that really true? I mean, there's so many different brilliant people that have all taken their own view on it and made it their own, right? Because pretty much all of this has come through the ethers and we're just all making it our own and seeing how it helps us and how it helps our clients. So shame is, again, same thing, feel it fully. Where do you feel it? What's going on in your body? Start getting in touch with it. Is there a sensation? Where is it in your body? Give it some characteristics. Is it a cylinder? Is it a ball? How heavy is it? What color does it have? Does it have an age? Is it static? Is it moving? What are the edges like? And people say, like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is body sensation. So do a body reveal. If I ask you, how are you doing? You'll be like, I'm fine.
Great,
like,
great. I'm great.
What is fine? I'm great. What does that mean?
Right.
But if you'd ask me and I'm like, I'm good, but there's this pit in my stomach and it's about the size of a baseball and it's gray in color. It's a bit heavy. It's tightening around a little bit. So yeah, it's there. Yeah. And you'll be like, what am I going to do with that? But you can now feel in your body what that feels like.
Right. Yeah.
For me,
brilliant,
right?
Brilliant.
And that is intimacy, right? We're sharing what's going on the inside with me.
Yes. Powerful.
And if you start learning that, that's how you can go through shame as well. Yeah. It's like, feel that shame, and then what's the opposite of shame for you?
I just have a curious question. What is your education? I mean, because that's very astute what you just shared, very brilliant. I know you're a coach, but what is your regular education to get to this place where you are today?
Oh God!
And I know a large part of your education came from being a mother of 4 kids, so I know a lot of that was that.
Yeah, definitely. I used to do. So I'm high school, American high school, because we moved around all over the world. Right. Then I did hotel and tourism school. Okay. PR, marketing, interior design. Then I became a SENCO, so special needs coordinator, because 2 of my kids are dyslexic. So I went really deep into psychology. Yeah. Then I went deep into trauma. Then I went deep into sexuality, Tantra, BDSM, Orgasmic Meditation, Erotic Blueprint. So, I mean, it just went on and on and on. Then for 3 years, I taught this company called the Accelerated Evolution Academy, which is all about learning these ways to get unstuck, metaphysical stuff. Big believer of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Me too.
So yeah, so I've been working in the quantum and all this kind of stuff for a while now.
You mentioned one of my favorite spiritual teachers in the world, Byron Katie, just a minute ago, and then Dr. Joe. I just did his advanced workshop in Denver 2 weeks ago. So
cool.
Because I really think here's what I'm excited about the world, and for you guys out there watching, this is why I encourage you to check out Mountains of Hope in Medellin, Colombia, because this is the kind of work we're doing. We do a physical detox, but then we're going to take you into the meditation, Dr. Joe kind of stuff, Byron Katie doing the work, the 4 questions, the 3 turnarounds, the Judge Your Neighbor workshop. So what's beautiful about all that kind of work is I think that, because if you look at the world, there's some really ugly stuff going on, especially in the States, and I think UK too. And there is a matrix, there is something going on. The Bible calls it apocalypse, perhaps the end times. All that means is lifting of the veil. And so what I'm excited about is all these systems that we're born in, financial, medical, educational, all these systems that try to control us. And what do we want? We want freedom. We want our own sovereignty, right? And so what I'm excited about, all that stuff is breaking, And this new consciousness is arising that you've talked about. And that's what excites me. And I think they got all the power, all the weapons, all the money. Where we're going to win is through love and consciousness and moving from the head to the heart. And once we live here, this is our truth center. This is our bullshit center. But it's a powerful supercomputer if we use it from the heart. What do you say?
Completely right. And that's the interesting bit. We're just so stuck in that matrix. And like, this is the only way. And then you realize it's not the only way. And for me, what really was my wake-up call is when my sister passed away. So I helped pass her over. But for me, every time it was like I was picking up the breadcrumbs and I was just there was a new breadcrumb and I was going for it. And I got into a lot of sacred medicine, and I did bufo, and then remembered my near-death experience, which then helped my sister pass over. And then a year later, my father, and then 6 months later, my mother committed euthanasia. So I was like, okay, this is what it was like for me.
Wow.
So, you become a death doula. And once you do this kind of work, like, grief is
change you forever.
Teacher.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
And it's like, whoa.
I tell people going through great loss, I got good news, bad news. The bad news is your life will never be the same again.
No.
And the good news is if you go through this consciously and awake, you will never be the same again. You will grow miles. And that big hole in your heart, instead of being filled with bitterness, is going to be filled with betterness and love. And once you embrace that, you're never the same, ever.
That's it.
Yeah.
Grief has definitely been my biggest teacher. And I think that was one of the most beautiful things of teaching others, of being really conscious with my grief. And I'd be like laughing and smiling and holding a class. But I'd always warn them. I'm like, listen, you do know that I'm going through some massive grief, and you don't have to caretake me. I want to take care of you, to just tell you that all of a sudden I'll be smiling or I'll be teaching you, and then snot might come flying and I'll be crying and I'll be in hysterics. But that's my way through. I'm actually showing you what's happening, what the emotions is, and the only way out is through. So I've had so many people turn around saying it's been beautiful to watch, because people are usually quite private about grief, and they're just like, no. It's like, no, if you can be, this is intimacy. This is what we're all seeking. We all want to kind of like have a little look at people, but then if you can show it in the fullness of what it is, this is life.
Yeah. You talked about being a death doula. I don't think there's anything more sacred than being at someone's deathside and being the one in the room that's awake and conscious and not fearful, and only there to love and to serve during this transition. I've done that a number of times, and it's so rich. I don't think there's anything more profound, honestly, that we can experience.
It's been, I've done this 4 times now. It's been the most beautiful part.
You'll love this.
I've had kids, and holding my child the first time is beautiful.
Yes.
Holding at the last bit and seeing that last moving over, seeing the soul go. It's
oh my gosh. You'll love this story. So when my wife, and she was only 38 when she became terminal and was passing, and so it's tough when it's a very young, beautiful woman, right? But we were so blessed to meet this guy named Dale Borglum that had a nonprofit called the Living Dying Project. And he had been in the India in the 70s studying under Maharaji with Richard Albert, who became Ram Dass. And when they returned to America, they created a living dying center in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where people would go to transition. And so as a result of all this, him and I, we just finished a book, we'll publish it in a few months, called, we don't know the final title, but I'm leaning towards Death, the Greatest Illusion, How You Can Never Die. And all you're going to do is leave this vessel. This is 50 to 100 trillion cells creating this thing called a body, but I ain't it, and I'm sure not these thoughts. I'm not owning those. So I am the energy, I am the essence, I am the timeless consciousness, I am the soul, I am the spirit. And so I can't wait to get the heck out of here. I'm not in a hurry, by the way, but I have zero fear, and that's empowering and freeing.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Isn't
not
it?
to have fear anymore.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, I'll be like, my ego kind of kicks in. Like, oh, I want to be a grandmother, and I still want to achieve a few things. But then it's like, you're into the oneness again.
Exactly.
Whatever, it's cool.
Into the field. Okay, you mentioned earlier, and I got to follow up on this. I don't want to piss off my audience. 5 ways of pleasure. So, what are the 5 ways of pleasure?
It's the ways into pleasure, right?
Okay.
So we have the 5 love languages, which I say receive and give are different. My receiving is definitely acts of service.
Okay. How about we talk about
touch.
how about the 5 love languages first, and then the 5 ways into pleasure?
Perfect. So 5 love languages are acts of service, words of affirmation, receiving gifts, physical touch. I'm trying to think. What's the other one?
That's good enough. If you don't remember, don't remember.
That's good enough. I don't know. Anyway, so for me, it's I receive acts of service that I love, acts of service and physical touch. But I like to give gifts and words of affirmation. Words of affirmation is the other one. And words of affirmation, I do very easily. I just kind of like give someone compliments all the time. That's just who I am. Yeah. But it's really interesting when you see people how they receive, and it's like, oh, that's not their love language. Okay, so let me adapt how I like to give into how they can receive. Yeah. And the same is with pleasure. Yeah. So in the Erotic Blueprints, Jaya Mai is one of my mentors. So she talks about it, and there's the energetic blueprint. So the energetic blueprint is someone that likes probably off-body touch more. You're the people that come into a room and they know to go in or not. You don't go and hug them, but you kind of like, approach their energy, and then they're like, oh, that's already a bit too close, go a bit further. Right. But at the same time, if you know how to arouse them and play with their energy, you can kind of like dance together, eye gaze. They can have like shivers when you're even across the room, just kind of flirting with them, which is super cool. Right. But also super in their head, right? It's like, oh no, that smell is off-putting. I can't, that perfume, oh my God, that person's energy, no, I can't be here, noises, all of that can be really a turn on if they're not in pleasure already. Yeah. Then you have the sensual, and sensual, you kind of know, we're people that love eating, smells, using all the senses, probably a bit softer touch, but on the body. Massage oils, all these kind of things that, candles, silks, cashmeres. But also the shadow is like when there's a pair of underwear or a pair of socks, it's like, oh my God, I can't be in bed with you. I have to clean up this. Like, oh my God, have I shaved? Am I smelly? Have I turned off the gas? What do the kids need for dinner? So all of these are the things that take you out of pleasure. Then there's a sexual. So that thinks about, penis and pussy, cock and whatever, and really like the act of that. And there's a lot of shame there that they always talk about. Orgasm, and then want to really get like what we see in the movies, right? What we've kind of been taught, like what the man likes and what the woman likes. And then oftentimes, if women are very sexual, that is also frowned upon. Like, why are you so sexual? You should be much more sexual or energetic. And then you have the kinky archetype. So that could be anything. It could be getting undressed with your light on. That for some people might be kinky. If you're massively Catholic, that might be something that you haven't done. Or it could be like actually impact play, or you like psychological kink. You like someone telling you, hey, look down, I didn't ask you to look up, come on, good girl, there you go, things like that. But there's a massive excitement when they do get played like this, and when, maybe ropes and getting tied up. But again, there's such shame in bringing that to your partner, because it's like, oh my God, are they going to think I'm crazy? And then there's the 5th archetype, the 5th blueprint, which is a mixture of all of them. And it's a shapeshifter. So I'm a shapeshifter. So it means I have all of them, but I also have all the shadow sides of them. Yes. And oftentimes us shapeshifters have been married or have been with one person that is one blueprint. And then we constantly give and receive in that one blueprint. So we're starving. And we're like, come on, give us more and more and more and more and more. So you love getting sensual massages, but you might also like a bit of the like hair pulling or whatever, or just doming someone and saying, hey, I'll take care of you. But it's when you start understanding this, when I body map with people, so I take them through. Because first we'll do a test, we'll do a little quiz, and then that comes from your mind, right? You like this, I like that, I don't. Then I get them on a massage table, and the body never lies, right? The body really never lies. It depends on how the energy moves, what your response as body is. Brilliant. And that's how we'll find out what the blueprints are.
Yeah, when you were talking, I'm thinking, first of all, I started thinking, okay, but where does this desire for fetish kink, where does it even come? And then I go, okay, well, wait. We live in duality, because you mentioned shadow, right? Which is just the opposite of light, right? We have a light side, so that's when we go on, we make passionate, sweet, and regular missionary style love. But there's got to be an opposite to that, right? And I think that's where some of the kink and the fetish comes from. But we just got to get comfortable with it and say, hey, and by the way, if this part of me offends you, I'll just leave it there. I don't need to play with it all the time. You know, I just want to be aware of it and conscious and know that it exists. But let's find something that we can mutually find that, you know, fulfills that for me and will fulfill something for you. Does that make sense?
Completely. And I see this with so much shame with people that say that are sex addicts or that want to go and visit a prostitute a lot or cross-dressers, and their partner doesn't understand because they make it all about themselves. They're like, oh, I must have done something wrong for him, her to turn out this way. He or she must not love me. Instead of actually being curious, it's like, hey, what's going on for you there? So you feel like with me, you can't be in your full expression.
Yeah.
And it's like, but also kind of realize, what are your boundaries? You know, you can say, yes, you can be in your full expression, but for me, this is what it brings up.
Yeah.
So let's have some good boundaries around it. And let's start exploring this a bit. Let's have like maybe one day a week that you can be for 2 hours in that archetype.
Yeah.
And I won't get triggered. And I kind of let you walk around in high heels and underwear, whatever.
Right,
you know?
right. And enjoy, and have fun with it. We you know, I think especially Americans more so than especially because is Norway Amsterdam? I'm sorry for being so stupid, but okay. Is Amsterdam and Norway, is that the same? Is that city in
Amsterdam's in Holland.
Okay, Holland. And you're Dutch, which is Holland.
Yeah,
so Amsterdam is super open, liberal sexually, right?
Yeah, we're open, we're liberal, you know, people, there's red light districts everywhere.
and we're an American, we're very Puritan, and now the wild card is, now there's porn everywhere. So now no one knows and there's sex shops everywhere, and there's webcams everywhere. And so, I don't know, let me ask you your opinion. Have we gone too far in that area? Should it be real in, or we got to let the world be the way it is?
Yeah, I went to Thailand a few years ago, and I went to Phuket, and that is like full of sex.
Yes.
Sex tourism, and I was quite shocked. This was before I got into really the whole conscious sexuality, and I just saw how unconscious it is and
thank
how it's
you.
being exploited.
Yes.
And there is the sexual world can be so exploited, and that's where when you actually start putting attention on it, bring some consciousness to it, do some tantra, you can do all kinds of courses that actually bring consciousness to it, and then I don't think it is too far. But you know, the unconsciousness of look at the porn, you know, and it's always like it's pretty much a man's world there, you know, it's how they want to get off, and then you know, for a woman, it's like, is this how it's going to be? It's like, no, it doesn't need to be like that. And that's what I've had to talk to my daughters and their friends about. I remember having a group of like girls of around 17, 18. I'm like, hey, what are the things that you would like? How would you like to be touched? I'm like, this is a weird question. So it took them through a whole workshop. But it's like, oh, I actually don't like that. And that's what I see. And that's what I think we should do. I'm like, you don't have to do anything. Really start getting comfortable in your body. You don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to squeeze into anything. We abuse our bodies. I mean, this is one of the courses that I have. It's called Scrumptious Body, so that we can actually just get in touch with how we've abused our body, how we talk to ourselves. And then get free from that and do some mirror work and really like start loving ourselves, start loving every little stretch mark, every little wobbly bit. And that's once you start loving yourself, then the people that you're with are like, oh, that's pretty sexy.
Listen, what I've found for me, once I became comfortable in my own skin, life just became so much easier, right? You know, I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care. You know, it helps being 66 years old too. You know, you eventually grow up. You have to grow up. You're gonna like this one. So you mentioned Byron Katie. So I did her 2-week school to work, literally 3 months after my wife passed full of grief. And my whole one sentence for the whole thing, my wife died Is it true? And that's what's, and you know, and there's 250 other crazy people there as well. So it was quite the experience.
Big one.
And she is an amazing, amazing teacher, but and with a lot of exercise. One of the exercises was, and I just still don't know the purpose for this, and I'm not sure if I even fully did it because I'm, you know, anyways. But she said, okay, guys, she passed out garbage bags, and she said, what you're going to do is you're going to go back to your hotel room. And you're going to cut 2 holes in the garbage bag where your eyes would be. And you're going to take off all your clothes. And you're going to stare in the mirror and tell me, and then you're going to come back and tell us what you see. I mean, I don't have body shame issues, right? So I probably did it just to get along to go along, or go along to get along, whatever. But what do you think she was trying to do for women with body shame issues there?
It's interesting, right? So I lost half my body weight. I mean, I had 4 kids in under 3 years' time, so it just went bigger and bigger and bigger until I was a beach whale. And then, but the thing is, even if you lose it, then you start.
Yes.
You still see yourself as a big person.
Interesting.
Or as whatever, and it doesn't matter how other people see you.
Yeah.
And I've obviously worked with a lot of younger adults, so kids 17 to 21 with body issue, body shame, sexual trauma as well. So I think what she's trying to do is just to show that, the perfection of even what does a bag look like? You know, how can you describe a rubbish bag, a garbage bag? You know, so it's black, it's plastic, it's flat, it's holding on to some curves. I see a bit of I see a little wrinkle in it there. But are you going to be as critical about the bag as you are about yourself?
Well, you just brought up such a great point. I remind of a book I read in the 80s, maybe, Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics. He was a plastic surgeon, and he would fix their, they come in with a nose and it was really bothering them. He would fix it to perfection. They never saw it. They still saw the old crooked nose. And that's what you're speaking to there. How do we, and you talked a little bit how NLP, or that kind of exercise that you did, how else can people fix that where they get comfortable in their skin?
Isn't that the age-old adage, right? How do we do this? So I take people through, because I don't believe in only affirmations, right? We can affirm all we want, but if you're not actually going to feel it, then you might as well, you're just bullshit, right? So for me, it's like you have to feel both sides. You have to feel the negative and the positive. So one of the ways that I do it is I have people actually dress down as much as they can, or strip down as much as they can, and get in front of a mirror and set a timer for 5 minutes and just let it rip. Flabby little arms and that mole there, and oh my god, I've got a stretch mark here, and look at these the teeth and all that, because we think that, but we never say it out loud. Let it rip. And then realize how cathartic that is, because we're letting go of that emotional stuckness, right? Because it's like gunk in the pipes, and when you can actually clear it, you can clear it. So EFT can help in this. But then the next bit that I do, then is I let them write a letter to their body and actually remember all the beautiful things that it's had, I look at my hands and I think 4 babies I've held, my 4 babies. I look at my feet and how swollen they are when it's hot and no air conditioning in the UK. But I think about all the miles, all the kilometers. It's walk me down the aisle, taking me to the funeral of my loved ones. And you really take the time for that, write that letter. And people are crying on the floor and they're snot flying and they're dancing a little bit. And then I actually finish it also with some cross body movement, so that it then anchors into the right and the left hemisphere, and then you take it up a notch. So this is 10 sessions that you actually just go through a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then you start really loving things. What's one thing that you love about yourself now? What's one quality that you love about yourself? I taught this to my kids when they were young, and they're like, all right, we're doing gratitudes, what was good about our day, and then what quality we love about ourselves. Are you crazy, mommy? That's so vain. I'm like, no, it's not. What do you love about yourself? And then what do you love about the person that sits next to you? It's like, well, I don't know. And it's like, I'm sure there's something that you can love about them, even if you don't know them.
Okay. I'm going to ask you one last question. Because you're so grounded, you're so centered, you're so in the moment, you're so pragmatic, practical, successful, 4 kids. Where does meditation play a role in all this to keep you this centered?
Well, this morning I was up at 5 o'clock doing my Dr. Joe stuff. And then I actually do my own thing, which isn't, I mean, it's like a meditation, right? But I just feel like it's quicker than listening to an hour's meditation from Dr. Joe. So I kind of do this twice a day. But what I teach all my people is like, set a timer for 90 seconds, twice a day. You've got 90 seconds. You cannot tell me that you do not have 3 minutes in a day.
Right.
And check in with yourself.
Yes.
Just take a breath in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth 3 times. Notice, where does your breath land?
Yes.
What's happening in your body? Do you have a thought? Think that thought.
Yeah.
Do you have an emotion? Feel that emotion. Yeah. Is there a body sensation? What's happening again in your body? Is there another image? And just do that for 90 seconds. Become aware. Yeah. Awareness is really, truly the first step towards self-love.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, you forcing me to ask another question, but for you guys out there, she just gave a wonderful piece of advice. 3 minutes a day, 90 seconds in the morning, 96 afternoon. You take that time, but I have to know, what are some of your favorite Dr. Joe meditations? One in the morning, one in the evening. Do you have a couple special go-tos?
There's this group in the UK, and there's this woman who's amazing. And she just puts on different meditations that I think on Saturdays it's a 4-hour one. Yeah. So we get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and we're there from 4 to 8. Botech is definitely one of mine. I like the walking meditations a lot. Yeah.
How about Body Electric? I like Body Electric in the morning.
Body Electric's good
in the beautiful present moment or whatever it is. So he says work is profound.
I really like the advanced follow-up.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Well, and what my wife and I were talking about, what's beautiful about that is like half the price of the week long. It's only 3 days. So we're just going to do one a year, probably in Europe, where we go somewhere cool and just reboot. Because I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I do the week long. I come back. I religiously do it every morning, every night. But 3 or 4 months down the road, I'm getting a little lazy, So it's good to go back and get that, reboot.
But it's funny, right? I was talking to another to another coach and mentor, friend of mine, and she's gone, I think, to like 12 or 13 now since 2019.
Yeah.
And people keep asking her, it's like, why do you keep going back? And it's like, well, why do you go to the gym every day? It's like, if you go to the gym once, that's not really going to help you.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, I fall off and then I start again. Right. It's like, and I also realize that Dr. Joe's not the only way. For me, it's journaling sometimes.
There you
it's
go. Yeah.
Doing my own gratitude thing. It's doing my own R4, rapid releasing.
Yep.
So it's actually just bringing consciousness to the here and now. And and you can do that in a multitude of ways. It doesn't have to be one way.
Yeah.
You could go for a walk. You could go for a walking meditation and just ask one question, and then the divine will just answer your question right there and then.
All right, you just gave me a perfect segue to close. Where can people find you? You mentioned your 4R, you got online courses, you do retreats. So someone resonated with you, they want to follow you. How do they find you?
My brand is called Feel Fully You. Of course, right? Like when that came through, and I still have to laugh at it. So my website is feelfullyyou.com. Juliette, French spelling, so double T-E, Karaman, K-A-R-A-M-N, on Instagram and on Facebook, and I think also LinkedIn, although I don't do much. You just type me and you'll find stuff. There's been a lot of articles and things. So.
Well, in closing, I just want you to know I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm super grateful. And I'd like to meet you in person someday, maybe at our retreat center here in Mountains Hopes, because we also make it available for retreat leaders to come. And so I invite you to consider that. But pleasure to meet you.
Sounds like a brilliant, brilliant place. Yes, I would love to meet in person. Thank you so much. This is really cool.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'll be right back to close the show with the Power of Your Voice segment and the Mountains of Hope segment. Stay tuned. So let's close the show by talking about sex. You know, it's really something that I know in my case, I can only refer to myself, but you know,
it's such an important part of our life as we get older. And in my life, no one taught me about it. You know, you learn about it at school from your friends, and then someone showed you a Playboy magazine, and you never really learn what the hell's going on. And no one teaches you. As a father of four, I can honestly say I did a better job, not nearly the job I would do today. I think about this a lot. I have 7 grandkids on the way. Who's going to teach these kids, especially in the insanity of the world today? I'm not going to speak to all the craziness that's going on out there. But, I know what's on the internet. And I know if a young mind gets hold of that, it could do severe damage. Sex should be so intimate and so loving and so personal. But a lot of us lose our way. And we're not comfortable even talking about it sometimes with our partner. And there's so many couples, that say, go years without sex and intimacy and a relationship like that. And I often wonder why. So I'm not sure what the answer is, but I think if you're a parent, you're raising small children, you got to talk to them. I know if I were to do it all over again, I'm going to assume the appropriate ages when the hormones start changing right before puberty. You got to have a talk with these kids about what's going on and the importance of it and the sacredness of it. And it's really to create another life and to bring another soul into this physical realm that we find ourselves living in. And I can tell you also, I'm not, I was a very promiscuous person in my younger years. And I now know that that's not wise. That even when you're intimate with someone, that there's energies taking place there. There's fluids, of course, but there's a lot of other bacteria, viruses, parasites that we're not even aware of that will eventually get hold inside your body. I'm not talking about STDs, I'm talking about other kind of stuff. Okay? That if we got to keep the body clean and detoxed, otherwise we're going to end up in big trouble. And the other thing is, if you want to talk about a spiritual realm about this subject, I really believe that there's a gateway for other entities, dark entities. If we don't guard our heart, if we don't guard our mind, we're subject to any kind of energy coming into our personal space. And that energy might not be the kind of energy that's going to best serve us and allow us to become the best version of ourselves. So, wow, it's such a difficult subject. And I follow this guy, Josh Mason, on Detox Dudes. Super powerful guy. He doesn't mention truth. He's always talking about, man, you need to quit jacking off so much and guard your seed and maintain yourself. And there's power in that. We need to keep our energy going as men to become strong and vital so that we are intimate, that we're present. I think that's the most important thing about lovemaking is to be present and to respect each other and to honor one another, and to be open and not be judgmental, so that you can share whatever's going on in your heart, your mind, past experiences, what you need, what you want, what makes you feel good, what doesn't make you feel good. These are, for some reason, I'm sure it's mostly in America, we're a bit of a Puritan society, if you will. And I think get help. If you're struggling with this issue, get help. There's plenty of good books. Of course, today, every subject is on YouTube or Rumble or somewhere on the internet. And watch something with your partner. But I really, really believe, and listen, I was guilty of everything. So I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just trying to share with you my experiences of what I've learned over 66 years in this subject. And what I wasn't taught, or what I had to learn the hard way. What I've learned the hard way is that it's a very sacred act, it's a very sacred thing, and we need to be conscious and aware and present when making love with our partner, and keeping our mind clean and clear, keeping our heart clean and clear. Tough subject, maybe? I don't know. But I guess it kind of is. But anyways, until next time, go out there, live your life with passion, and create the life of your dreams.
Thank you for listening to The Power of Your Voice with Mike Murphy. This podcast is brought to you by Mike Murphy Unfiltered, The Creation Frequency, Mountains of Hope, and the Love from Margot Foundation. These sponsors are dedicated to helping you unleash your full potential and live a life of joy and abundance. If you enjoyed this episode, please visit our website at mikemurphyunfiltered.com and subscribe to our podcast.